Hey, what's going on, Gaijins and Gaijins? This is Good Gaijin Greg, and I am back with a review for The Last of Us. So I will be still playing the game because I am back into it, but this time, instead of me just rambling about what's happening, we will be discussing the game. The good, the bad, the ugly, and honestly, if you've been following along, you probably know some of my feelings on it. But yeah, I think people are being incredibly butthurt and not very aware of the game, the characters, the world. You know, context is everything. And people are forgetting context. So people are... Before I get into it, let's start off with the easy stuff. You know, like everyone said, if you've seen a review about the game or anything, you can tell the game is beautiful. So graphic-wise, it's 10 out of 10. Sound is great. They put a lot of effort and time into making this game, to the detriment of some of the people that worked on it, and that deserves to be said. You know, as much as people enjoy these games and the companies that make them, a lot of the time the companies are owned by very selfish people. You know, it's not about just making fun things for people anymore. It's about money. And unfortunately, people say, screw the humans behind it. The money is what's important. And, you know, crunch and abuse is not worth a game, no matter how good it is. So these companies definitely need to do better. And we need to expect better from them. So if you worked on this game, voice acting was fantastic. Visuals, sound, it controls well. You know, I don't get caught on stuff all the time. I'm not falling through floors and, you know, crap like that. Whenever I move the sticks, everything moves smoothly. You know, there's a good weighty feel to everything, so it doesn't feel too gamey, since this is supposed to be a more realistic world. So yeah, that is definitely all the good stuff. And honestly, I'll even throw story in there, even though the story isn't, you know, a perfect story. It's not something that everyone will like, and honestly, I didn't even enjoy all of it myself. You know, there were some sticking points. And I feel like part of it is we should not have started the game with Ellie. Ellie should have been the second half, or at least, you know, back and forth. It should have been a bit more back and forth and less just staying with one character for the entire portion and then going back to the other character for the other portion, because it made it feel very long. It was like watching an anime or something where, like, you get to a point and it's like, oh man, Naruto and Pain are about to fight and it's so serious, and then everything's getting good, and then flashback. But it was like the longest flashback ever. And, you know, we crap on our shows that do that, and this game did it. And it did it pretty harsh. Where, you know, you're playing through the game as Ellie, and then all of a sudden you're at a very, very high point story-wise. Stakes are high. Things are crazy. And then it goes, all right, let's just cut all that and go, let's cut all that tension, let's cut all that drama, and let's go back to playing around in the woods with our pops. So, yeah, the story, maybe if they would have just put it in a different order, could have flowed a lot better. The hits that they expected to hit hard fell short because of that. So, like, and like some YouTubers have spoken on it. You know, not too many like big reviewers like Gaijin and stuff like that have said too much on it. Like if people have given it like a 10 out of 10, then they probably didn't talk about it. But, you know, you meet characters as Abby and you're supposed to have these feelings for them. But, you know, because you've played through most of the story as Ellie and you've already killed these people, it's like, you know, well, I don't feel bad for you because I already know you die. And 9 times out of 10, since I was playing as Ellie, you did something that I didn't like. So I, you know, didn't mind killing you. And now it's like, but he had a backstory. It's like, no, don't do that. You know, like what if we would have done, if Marvel would have been like, oh man, Thanos killed all those people and, you know, he snapped half the population and the Avengers are fighting to get him back and all this stuff and da-da-da-da-da. And then in the next movie, we're going to watch Thanos get all the, you know, what if the last 2 Avengers movies were reversed? It wouldn't have felt nearly as good to watch. You know, we wouldn't have gotten that whole, oh, Thanos did nothing wrong, even though people are, you know, a bit idiotic about that because he's still, you know, a bad guy and still did terrible things. So yeah, he totally did something wrong, and the way he was going about it was wrong. But all that aside, the movies would not have had nearly the punch if it would have been Endgame and then Infinity War. It would have made no sense to do something like that. So that was definitely what they did here. Like that is how this game felt. Was basically they let you play through Endgame and then you played through Infinity War. So story-wise, it's a decent enough story. It's just in a really bad order. Like I said, they could have either let you play as Abby first so that you can get used to her and the characters that you're supposed to feel bad for, and then go to Ellie, you know, someone who we already know. Yeah, we miss those characters and everything, but we at least get to understand our, you know, other protagonists or antagonists or whatever you want to call her. So I feel like the story could have used some help. As for Abby, I like Abby. Get in there. I found Ellie to be less likable than Abby a lot of the time because Abby wanted to do better. Ellie did not. That is my main thing. And I understand Ellie's feelings behind it. They were the same feelings that, you know, Abby had. And I've been spotted, and now I gotta fight somebody with a little bitty knife. And I didn't even like get a cool ending. I just got like slapped in the face. But they went ahead and I'm sorry. So yeah, Abby I don't have a problem with at all. they actually gave her a bit of a better arc personally for me, just because she did slowly, like at first I couldn't stand her because she felt she was always right. She was going around, people would tell her, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. She's like, I'm gonna do it. And then she'd do it and be like, oh no, bad things happen because I did that thing that people told me not to do. What are the odds? It's like the odds are pretty high because they told you not to do it. I mean, as soon as the game starts, she's end up getting chased by, you know, all these infected because she decided, you know what, I'm just going to go off on my own to one-man army, an entire, you know, town. I can take this entire town by myself. Like, really? Yeah, you've got some guns on you, but, I mean, it's still an entire town, and you've got to, like, brave the elements and get through. There's, like, infected out there, and you thought, oh, man, yeah, I can just, like, freaking manhandle everybody here. Friggin' Billy Badass. So, yeah, a lot of her decisions were very, very bad. Very stupid decisions, and she paid for them, and that's something that some people didn't notice too. Like, if you follow me, you probably follow other gaming YouTubers like Angry Joe, and like part of it was, you know, just a joke, but he does say like Abby gets everything because they're trying to like put her up as the new hotness, and Ellie gets nothing. And I'm just kind of like, Abby loses all of her friends and the only home she's ever known. All of her friends, the guy that she was in love with, you know, and then she like had him cheat on his girlfriend and then had to deal with that guilt of, you know, of that thing. Someone who she more or less saw as a friend, who was pregnant, so it's not like that didn't affect her. And then, you know, gameplay wise, Ellie gets a silenced machine gun, she gets traps, she gets a bow long before Abby gets her crossbow, and the crossbow doesn't do as much damage as the regular bow. Like, I've shot people in their like leg or their stomach, and they've gone down in one shot so long as they're not wearing armor.
And he's still moving.
Meanwhile, Abby's crossbow, while it has a better arc, she still has to, you know, do headshots, or she's got to do like multiple shots. It's like, and she gets a sniper rifle with a much better scope than, yeah, Abby gets the machine gun or, you know, whatever, but it also, she doesn't get a lot of bullets for it, and she also has like, the scope kind of is whatever. Like, it's like a medium range scope, and she never gets something as good as Ellie's sniper rifle, scope wise, for like super long distance. Not that I can remember anyway. And honestly, pipe bombs are cool, but I definitely prefer Molotov cocktails. I felt Molotov cocktails were definitely better than pipe bombs. So I feel like they're balanced out, especially since Abby has to make shivs, Ellie has an infinite knife. So I feel like they're balanced enough. And, you know, he just kind of is like, I watched the review, and I've seen plenty of other people's reviews, and a lot of it is just being really, really butthurt that Joel died. And I get it. Joel, even though some people say, you know, he's not a beloved character, you know, they're not saying, when people say he's a beloved character, that means he's a character that many people liked and enjoyed and liked seeing stories about. Beloved doesn't mean a lovable character, or else they would have called him a lovable character. So Joel, I can see as being beloved because he's a character many people, you know, respect, many people think, you know, is really cool and everything, despite him being an absolute monster and honestly getting what he deserved. But we'll get to that. And yeah, I said it. But, you know, I feel like people were more upset at that instant than what Abby did. Like anything about Abby. They're just mad because she killed their daddy.
Hey, how far away are we?
Which, you know, like I said,
Okay.
and we've only had one game to really get to know Joel and like him. But one thing that people seem to not realize is The Last of Us, the first game, was not about Joel. Joel was a part of it, and, you know, his character development was a part of it. But it wasn't about him. It's about Ellie. The Last of Us has always been about Ellie. She's the one who is immune. She's the one who's growing up in this world. Joel's lived his life. Joel's lived his life. Yes, it wasn't a great life and he hasn't done great things, and, you know, he could get better. But that's pretty much it for him. You know, there weren't going to be a bunch of other games. He wasn't, you know, in his early 20s when the game started. You know, in the first game. He was, you know, mid to late 40s probably. He only had a few games in him, especially after a time jump, so that Ellie could become old enough to take care of herself. So Joel wouldn't have had that many games to begin with. He's just a regular man living in a regular, quote-unquote, heavy quotes here, realistic world, even though we can say quotes, but it's starting to look like that outside. But this isn't the kind of world where someone just, you know, lives forever. So, yeah, Joel was not going to survive The Last of Us. I'm sorry to tell you. Joel was not going to survive this universe. The game has not set up itself to have a protagonist like Joel survive it like that. Ellie, sure, she can get bit and keep going, so she gets a little bit more, you know, leeway when it comes to that kind of thing. Plus, she's younger, so she can be in a few more games. You know, she starts the first game. She starts and she's, you know, a kid. So yeah, she can be in a few more games. She gets that benefit. Joel, he was pretty much towards the end in the last game. Like, don't get me wrong, 40, 50 ain't ancient, but he's not young enough to really go back and forth on how many games he can be in. So, just from that, Joel, you know, more than likely wouldn't have survived. But given how the world is in The Last of Us, he wouldn't have survived anyway. This is a very unforgiving universe, The Last of Us. You know, and the worse off you are, the worse off you get. You know, and even good people die bad deaths in, you know, this world. So someone like Joel, who spent the last game going from place to place, just murking people relentlessly, and how he left the Fireflies, yeah, there's no way he was going to come out of this intact. And I've seen some people say, oh, he should have went out, you know, a hero's death. But he wasn't a hero. Nothing about Joel was heroic. Yes, I get it. You like the character, but he's not a hero. That's the whole reason he didn't want this kind of stuff for Ellie, because he knows he's not a hero. He knows he's done horrible things, and yeah, he's trying to do better. He was trying to be better, but he also recognized, yeah, he was a bit of a scumbag. Oh, you not letting me out, so I can, I guess I'm forced to. All right. Let's fix a gun. So, yeah, Joel, he did some horrible things, and like the way that the game ended, that was definitely going to come back to bite him. Not just, you know, killing all those fireflies, going back on his word and what he was there to do in the first place, which was deliver Ellie. But he also, you know, some people are like, he saved Ellie. Ellie didn't want to be saved. And it's like, yeah, she was a kid, but this is what she wanted. She wanted to go to this world and help. She wanted her immunity to mean something. Not just, you know, be, oh, I'm immune, so I guess that's that. No, she wanted her immunity to mean something important. She wanted it to help people, even at the cost of her life.
There's more stuff down there.
And Joel took that away from her. And then he lied to her face and, you know, told her, oh, you couldn't have helped anybody. It was no. And because and for good reason, you know, I'm not saying he's, you know, his reason wasn't good or bad or anything. He lost a daughter. And this young girl was becoming his daughter. He cared about her. He grew to care about her. That was part of his redemption arc. Learning to care again and learning that, you know, life isn't just this doom and gloom and you hate everybody and everything's terrible. But there are things worth taking care of. And unfortunately, he took that as, I'm going to take care of what I want to take care of. It's not about, you know, the world getting better. It's not about things getting better. It's about what I want. It's about what I want to keep. I understand she could help so many people, and someone else's daughter could, you know, survive, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for me. So, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a bad thing. So they, like, between the stuff that he's done, the world that he lives in, and his age, and how many more stories he could have actually been a part of. Yeah, Joel was not long for the world. And at this point, his bad decisions and everything it caught up to him. So his death could have been done better, like when it comes to how things went, how the story was showed
It's still good.
showed his death.
Does weed go bad?
But yeah, he was gonna die. Sorry. And given everything that he's done and how
You having a hard time?
this world set up its characters and everything, he was not going to get a hero's death
Give me that.
because he's not a
I
hero.
think you're gonna get it.
I'm sorry. That doesn't mean he's not, you know, a cool character. He's not kick-ass. But he's not a hero. And he was not going to get a hero's death.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Sorry.
I got it open, didn't I?
So, that's that. As for Abby, she's,
Smells good.
if, like, I've already done my spiel about Abby. You know, she started off getting on my nerves and I really didn't like her, but she eventually wanted to change and was becoming a lot more open to other people and what they're going on in their life, what they have going on in their life. Ellie didn't care. That is one thing
Ask you a question?
that does rub me the wrong way, is how they handled Ellie and how
Scale of 1 to 10.
she went from, like, don't get me wrong, as she should not be as happy-go-lucky and fun-loving as she was in the first game, especially after seeing Joel get his head caved in.
Great. Kiss.
And for the most part, she's basically like an older, angsty teenage version of herself
Talking about this.
at the beginning of the game before Joel dies.
You said it was a mistake.
But she keeps seeing what she's doing, keeps getting punished for it, keeps feeling horrible about it, and keeps doing it.
To rate or kiss?
That's my problem. She's not learning. Like, Abby at least gets crap happening to her, and eventually it starts clicking like, okay, I should change.
A 6?
And she starts changing throughout the game,
Like a solid 6.
little by
There
little.
are a lot of people around.
Ellie doesn't change until like the very last part of the game, to the point where she gets everything that she could want. She gets a family and they're happy, and she gives it up for revenge.
Infuriating. Have you met you?
So that's one thing I don't like,
You know
is that Ellie is so willing to go down this dark path, even though she hates it. You know, she beats a woman and tortures her and hates it. She kills, guy and a pregnant woman and hates it and feels horrible and can't sleep, and she's got all these scars on her back and everything's miserable, and she sticks with it. She doesn't even have a second doubt about it. She's like, all right, now that I did that, I feel bad. Go to sleep, get up. Okay, now time to go do this other thing. So the fact that Ellie doesn't learn kind of pisses me off. But yeah, and I don't know. So and yeah, the game definitely didn't need a third faction. Like, we already had enough factions to deal with. We got infected, we got new infected, we got Abby's group, the wolves, we've got the scars. We had more than enough factions to deal with, and then at the end they're like, oh, and then these other people, and they're crazy too. And it's like, who are they now? Why are they being introduced, at the last leg of the game? Should I care about them? Are we gonna introduce some characters that I should care about? Nope. Alright. Just gonna kill them, a bunch of them off. It's like, okay, we wanted to punish Abby. Abby couldn't have been found by her group, or Ellie's group, or somebody, so that, I mean, Abby's own group wanted to kill her, so they could have captured her and tortured her for, you know, betraying them. That would have been fine. You still would have got your torture and everything. And you wouldn't have had to make up an entire group of freaking no-names. Bunch of randos, some jobbers that came out of nowhere. So yeah, that's another thing that irked me, was this random group of people that nobody cares about just showed up and was like, and we're evil too! And it's like, I don't care about you. I don't even know you. You just showed up. Oh, and I've seen people have issue with this where Joel saves Abby. And they're like, Joel wouldn't have done that. Remember Joel ran across that one person and he was like, oh, I'm hurt, I need help. And they were like, oh, Joel would have never helped Abby. It's like, did you forget an entire game happened between that scene you're talking about and this scene? An entire game, and like, what was it, like 4 years happened? Enough time for him to, you know, be going out on patrols and protecting people and caring about the town and living with his brother again and all that stuff. Getting close to Ellie, wanting to protect her. This makes sense. This makes sense. Just because you don't like Abby, for whatever dumb reason you don't like Abby, don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's stuff to not like about Abby. But I've seen, you know, she look like a man. I've seen, you know, she's too strong. And I'm like, are you new to video games? Are you new to video games? Because I've seen plenty of strong women in video games. So, I don't understand not liking being uncomfortable with women with muscles in video games. And this is not nothing. This isn't something new. But okay. So yeah, I'm still playing this while I'm talking to you, while I'm going off. But yeah, so her muscles and everything, I don't understand why that's an issue. That should not be an issue. She actually has a pretty cool character design. Especially when she like loses her coat and everything and she's just like, yeah, I'm here to, you know, kick ass and chew bubble gum. Does stuff like that. Yeah. Where? I want to kill it. What happened to the clicker? So, and then like I've seen people talk about the sex scene. I don't care about the sex scene. It's just a sex scene. Chill out. The game has skippable cutscenes. Stop acting like a child. Like, oh my god, they're having sex and she's not sexy enough to, you know, be a part of that. I don't want to see her have sex because she ain't sexy enough. She ain't got, you know, big old boobies and whatever. It's like, okay, man, I get it. I get it. Chill out. You still have the internet. You'll be all right. running and shooting. So, let's see. We talked about the different characters, talked about the story. Let's talk about that ending, and then we'll wrap it up. Ending makes sense. I'm sorry. The ending makes sense. Ellie was eventually supposed to realize not just that, oh, revenge is bad, because I've seen people, you know, criticize that, and it's like, oh, their game says revenge is bad, but then you go around and shooting everybody. It's like, yeah, out of protection. This isn't like Yakuza, where, you know, he's, you know, saying that he wants to do good, or he's, you know, a character that has a code, and then he's going around beating up civilians in the street. That would be a disconnect. The world that they live in is way too aggressive, way too volatile, way too violent to be a pacifist in. So you can't go through like this world and not protect yourself. Sorry. The game was still gonna have combat in it. So her needing to kill people out of protection and revenge are two different things. She still wanted to go travel for revenge, and she still wanted to do her thing, no matter how stupid it was. And that was the point. It's like, you know, it's not necessarily that revenge is bad. It's that it perpetuates a cycle and you get nothing from it. It only takes away. It takes away people's family. It takes away their friends. And it leaves you with nothing. And even if you do get it, because I know I saw plenty of people like, she should have killed her. We went through all that and we didn't even kill her in the end. It's like, then you weren't paying attention. You're Ellie in the middle. And as I said, I don't like that Ellie. Just not learning from your mistakes. So, I think that's all I have to say about the game. I feel people are in their feelings about it. They're mad Joel died. They're mad that he was killed by some new character and didn't go out in a blaze of glory fighting off a million clickers with, you know, broken bottles duct taped to his hands like Liam Neeson in the middle of the woods. You know, I get it. You want your badass character to go out in a badass way, but that's not the world of The Last of Us. Pay attention to the context. The game has a lot of good. It's not perfect. It's not the Citizen Kane of video games, but it is a good game. It is a good game. And a lot of the main issues you have with the game, like I've seen people say, oh, it's so dreary, and oh, it's just like they beat you down and they never let you back up, and like it's not like the hopeful The Last of Us. I'm like, what game, what is this happy-go-lucky The Last of Us version that you played? Because I played the game that started off with your daughter dying. And then the very end of the game, your father figure lying to your face and killing off the only people that could cause a cure for, you know, humankind, because he didn't want, you know, for his own thing. So I don't know what hope you're talking about. Was that the hopeful part? The hope that maybe he made the right decision, even though he killed a whole bunch of innocent people that was just trying to protect, that was trying to bring the world back from the brink of extinction? Was that the hope? I don't think that was the hope.
Let's get inside.
I think y'all just remember that was, we were in a different time then, and The Last of Us 2 came out at a very not good time. I feel like a lot of people's hate for it comes from it's hitting way too close to home. You know, people are divided right now. You know, not to get all political about this, but people are divided right now. There's an infection out there killing off, you know, the population. And, you know, we don't know how to handle it right now. And now we have a game basically living that out. And it's like, yeah, now we're going to kill off one of your favorite characters and introduce, you know, Ronda Rousey beating up on old man Logan over here. But yeah, I think people are being a bit too butthurt about it. You know, let things calm down and then give the game another try. Play through it with a different set of eyes and hopefully things get better for you. If not, well, you know, remember, there's plenty of other games. Don't go harassing voice actors and everything and being ignorant. Just trade the game in or uninstall it. And here we are at the good part. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. You guys have a good evening. And, you know, take care of each other. Be safe. And I'll talk to you guys later.